Okay. And then I'm also going to hit the timer, which I usually forget. And I do apologize. Your last one that we recorded, when it glitched at the end there, when I lost contact, it lost the recording as well.
Oh,
So,
shoot.
but
Okay.
hopefully this one is in good
Mhm.
shape. It says it's recording. We should be good. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm going to hit timer here. 10. Okay. All set?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to scroll up. I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Bob says he's running late. So hopefully he gets here at some point. Okay. All right. Why don't you start by telling us about your talent?
My talent, I will be playing the fiddle and I will be playing the song Old Joe Clark. The reason I picked this is because for the majority of my life, I have been learning violin the classical way. I have been tuning in on Suzuki and their methods, but I've always had this love for the fiddle, and I thought Distinguished Young Women, surrounded by so many supportive, talented women, was the perfect time to step out of my comfort zone and try something new that I've always wanted to. So that's why I chose to do this.
Okay. Good. I see that you volunteered with the High School Democrats of America in Wisconsin. What issues are you most passionate about, and how do you hope to make a difference through your political involvement?
The issues I'm currently most passionate about are immigration. And while I'm not saying I support complete illegal immigration, I do think it is something we should view through the lens of empathy and compassion. We should understand that these people are humans as well. However, I don't advocate for illegal immigration. I do advocate for a reform of our current legal processes to make it easier for legal immigration in our country.
Okay. All right. Um, I also see that you work as a tutor, both as ESL and STEM. What's something surprising or meaningful that you've learned from your actual students?
Something meaningful that I have learned from my students, particularly the ones that don't speak English, are that a lot of them are very eager to learn. They are very bright young students. It is simply that language barrier that prevents them from doing so. And that is something that I'm very passionate about eliminating, which is why I serve as a tutor for these students, because I want their voices to be heard and their learning needs to be met.
I noticed on your forum that you participated with the National Science Bowl. What particular area of science?
I think that might be someone else. I've unfortunately never done the Science Bowl.
Oh, you might be in Vaidehi's. But
Good job.
okay, good, good correction
Checking you.
though. It's good to correct. But on a similar vein, why don't you tell us about your experience with the being Hispanic Scholarship Fund scholar?
Yes. So what being a Hispanic Scholarship Fund scholar means to me is having a large network to pull from in my professional life. So I was a part of this conference called the Youth Leadership Institute, where the top Hispanic students in the country, the top rising the rising seniors in our country were called to a conference where everything was paid for. And we got to, the biggest thing I got from that was networking. We got to talk to so many qualified Hispanic people in the professional field that advised us on what to do in terms of college and stepping out as a professional in America. And that's what it means to me is having the network to support myself off of and be a part of this new Latino narrative in our country.
Okay. Um, why do you think you would make a good distinguished young woman of Wisconsin?
I think I would make a good distinguishing woman of Wisconsin because I have a very diverse background that I think Wisconsin has a lot of, but not as it is not as recognized. When I went to this conference specifically, people thought Wisconsin was a very white space with just filled with cornfields, but I think it is so much more than that. And I think I can present that as a distinguished young woman of Wisconsin, as a Latino person who is interested in innovation and STEM. I think my voice can propel that idea as the distinguished young woman of Wisconsin.
Fantastic. Now that I'm on your forum, I see that you have a strong interest in aerospace engineering.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes. So ever since I was very little, I have had a passion for exploration and the unknown. And I At the same time, I also had a passion for numbers and building something tangible from something on a page. And I think aerospace engineering is the perfect blend of both. I can use my love for numbers to propel our society into the unknown and find things that we would have otherwise been able to do.
What are your thoughts on space tourism and the commercialization of space?
I think the commercialization of space is both good and bad. In the good light, it has brought space exploration to the forefront and it has made it so the privatization has funded so many of our exploration endeavors. However, it has also contributed to things like space debris that make space unexplorable. So I think while it is good, it needs to be regulated so that we don't make space unexplorable before we have the chance to see everything that is out there.
Can you give me an example of space debris for maybe some of us who aren't familiar with that term?
Yes. So there's a lot of people who, or a lot of companies that aim to put satellites and things that orbit around our Earth that they can then pull data from, like rovers or, like I said, satellites. And with so many out there, without communication, they often crash into each other and they break into little pieces and they remain in our orbit and then make it so other pieces of spacecraft can then not go out there.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to go into space, would you choose to do that, or do you want to be at ground zero?
I think it's a very exciting opportunity, but personally not for me. I like being the person behind the scenes propelling those sort of explorations. I don't necessarily want to be out in space.
Okay.
So tell me a little more about working at the restaurant. An example maybe of a time that you had a difficult client or customer and how you handled that.
I think what it has shown me is the value of customer service. I personally believe that everyone should work customer service at least once. And that is because it builds empathy. It makes you understand where other people are coming from. Like, for example, I once had a customer that didn't understand that they couldn't be seated at the moment because an available table was actually for a reservation coming in. But instead of just like getting angry at them and screaming at them and saying, no, that's for a reservation, I understood where they were coming from. They had been waiting a long time. They wanted to eat with their family, but I then also made them understand where I was coming from. And then it builds that sort of communication and empathy that is necessary to function as a society. And that is something I have learned from working as a hostess for 5 years.
All right. If you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting to get involved in service or leadership, what would that be?
I think one piece of advice I would say for someone getting involved in service is to do something you're passionate about. Often people see volunteering opportunities as simply that, service hours. But I think when you get involved in something you're passionate about, it no longer it no longer is something that just is written on a page for volunteer hours. It is so much more than that, and you feel like you're making an impact. And that is my biggest piece of advice. Just do something you're passionate about.
Okay. What has been the most rewarding volunteer activity that you've participated in?
It has definitely been working as a tutor at Notre Dame, specifically because I my biggest problem growing up was my lack of representation and like Latino figures. Didn't have many to look up to, so I often saw STEM as a place that wasn't for me, but I can be that figure for these young students. And I think just being there and them having someone to look up to in the STEM field is so important. And they have actually told me that themselves. They say that they see me as a sister and they now see math or science as a field that they can explore. And that's why it's most rewarding for me.
Okay. Tell me
With
about
the
a favorite
coaches
family
versus
me Oh,
cancer.
go ahead, Julie. I
No,
didn't
go
hear you.
ahead. I was just going to say, with the coaches versus cancer program, I see that you have a leadership position there. What has been rewarding to you, not just about the program, but also about the opportunity to lead?
Yes. So I recently entered that role and I started doing Coaches versus Cancer because my grandmother, she suffered from leukemia and unfortunately she did pass away recently. But I and while it was very upsetting for me, I took it as an opportunity to give back to people like her and people whose families suffer from the same thing. And I think that is why the leadership is so important to me because I can take control of this narrative that felt like I had no control of when it was happening to my grandmother. And now I get to be that figure that gives back and helps other people who are suffering from the same thing or similar.
Yeah. Um, do you feel like your school district is taking sufficient measures to keep students safe, or is there something more that you think that your school district should do?
I think our school actually does a very good job of keeping their students safe. They have officers on our campuses. I think I'm not actually sure how it is at Brookfield Central, but I do know at least at Brookfield East, they have strict regulations about visitors and guests, and they have officers that are not only there for protection, but for students if they ever need help. And they also have guidance counselors that are always there if you have some sort of problem with your mental health. The only problem I think should be addressed a little bit more is parking lot safety. I do think we have a little bit of problem with driving hazards, and that should be addressed more seriously at our district. But other than that, I think they do a great job.
Okay. Well, the 10-minute timer went off. So,
Yes.
how'd you feel about that one?
I think I did a little bit better than our last one, just because I did actually write down everything I wrote in my form, and I wrote possible talking points.
Good. Good.
So,
It was really obvious to me that you had put some work into this fella. I know Julie didn't get to see the last one, but huge growth. And I mean, I always say, like, if I'm working with somebody smart, we can knock it out of the park because you get it. Like, you just need to know what the objective looks like,
mhm,
and you'll rise to that occasion. I'm sure of
mhm,
it. So I felt like you were super strong. These were very specific to you questions. Just maybe
mhm,
the school safety was maybe the only one that
mhm,
wasn't something super specific to you. So maybe it was more of a comfort zone as well this
mhm.
time around. But I thought that this one was hands down the best I've seen you do so
Yes,
far.
thank you.
So
Thank you.
good. Talent, I liked how you pulled in your vocab throughout the whole thing was impressive. And you nothing ever felt watered down or I just felt like it was clear that you have a strong brain in your head. And when you're just talking about your talent, when you're talking about the Suzuki method versus playing the fiddle, like those fine distinctions that maybe a judge who's not familiar with that talent at all, they're like, oh, there's more to
Mhm,
this, and she's informed and she's obviously
mhm,
classically trained. So I thought that was a good solid answer. The Democrats for Wisconsin,
mhm,
I liked your answer. I could tell that you'd put some thought into, like, how do I say this in a way that's going to be palatable to both
mhm,
sides of the political spectrum.
mhm,
And I think that was important to say that immigration is an important issue to you, but also that you're advocating for, you said, reform of the current process rather
mhm.
than
Yes.
legal mass immigration. So,
Mhm.
Jules, feel free to jump in on any of this too if you had things that you want to say about any of the individual questions. Good.
Mhm.
Um, and then for tutoring, that you said that the kids are eager to learn and that they
Mhm.
have voices to be heard. I thought that was good as well. I think that there tends to be kind of a negative perception when people don't speak English.
Mhm.
The default mindset, arrogantly, for most people is that to assume that they don't understand or that they're not smart,
Mhm.
right? And to show that these kids do have voices, there's just a language barrier right now,
Mhm.
shows to me that you are empathetic and that you have a good handle on being bilingual as well and what that means. I like that answer.
Thank you.
Okay, the Hispanic Scholarship Fund.
Mhm.
Good. You really focused on the networking. I did write here, don't touch your hair. You started to
Oh,
get kind
okay.
of nervous. I
Okay.
couldn't really see your hands, but I could see your hair moving, so I knew it
Okay,
was
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Good. And then why do you want to be DYW Wisconsin? That one rambled just a little bit. I felt like you were trying to
Yeah.
get into it faster, but maybe just that's a very likely question that they will
Mhm.
ask you. So you just want it to
Okay.
be super smooth when that rolls out. Like,
Okay.
why you? What do you bring to the table that makes you unique, that is going to be a positive representative for Wisconsin? I think you had some good talking points in there. We just
Okay.
need to smooth it out a little bit.
Okay.
Aerospace, I liked you combined your passion for exploration with numbers, putting that
Mhm.
all together. That was a good answer. Space tourism, that one, maybe that was your best answer. That one I felt like you had very um, specific answer about the downside of you
Mhm.
had the positive, but also you noticed the downside. I think that space debris is not something that most people in the
Mhm.
everyday run-of-the-mill world have any clue what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So just know that if you bring
Mhm.
up space debris, just give a quick
Mhm.
little, for example, satellites going up without any monitoring and they're crashing into
Mhm.
each other.
Yeah.
People know what satellites are, but they probably don't have any
Mhm.
idea that they're crashing into each other and that
Mhm.
that's a problem, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Wasn't that recently like an AP prompt or something?
It was actually one of the AP Lang prompts, and that I saw that I was like, oh, I could talk about this. It
Good.
was great. Yeah.
Good. Well, and for you wanting to go into aerospace, engineering, I think there's a good place for you to bring that up,
Mhm.
probably in multiple different places. So having a
Mhm.
good talking point about that just shows that extra depth of knowledge that somebody else who
Mhm.
might get that question might have any not have any clue what they're even
Mhm.
talking about.
Okay.
The girl who got it at nationals, the space tourism question, obviously was a senior and hadn't just taken AP Lang because she had no
Mhm.
clue what they were talking about. And she just talked about space exploration and
Mhm.
completely missed the whole
Mhm.
context of space tourism.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you also had a I wrote down great smile on that one.
Okay.
The specifically when I asked you, do you want to go into space yourself? That was a really nice natural response. And I think it's a logical question that,
Mhm.
people who are really into space, a
Mhm.
lot of them I think would probably want to go to space themselves.
Yeah.
Um, have you read, do you read any of the Taylor Jenkins Reid's books?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you might want to check out Atmosphere. That's her latest
Okay.
one that just came out, and
Mhm.
it's about the space program and
Mhm.
a woman's kind of drive to be a part of that. So
Mhm.
it's just
Okay.
it's a fascinating
Okay.
story. All right. Restaurant work, good explanation of a context of when, I think we've all been there. We're waiting for a table. We see empty tables. We don't understand why they're not seating us, right? That was a good specific example. Advice for service to pick something you're passionate about. Good answer, right? If you pick something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel
Mhm.
like, and I like that you said it's not just about the service hours
Mhm.
because there should be a deeper calling for the whole thing. And then the most rewarding, you said tutoring at Notre Dame, um, and that there's a lack of representation of people who look like you or people from your
Mhm.
culture, and that you're filling that role for somebody else. I think
Mhm.
that was good. Coaches versus cancer, totally awesome to drop in the story about your grandma. Just fair warning that I would practice saying that one a bunch of
Yeah.
times because, in the emotional on the moment spot, sometimes things will make you cry that you're like, why am I
Mhm.
crying over this? Like,
Yeah.
right? So just
Mhm.
just kind of fair warning. And then school safety. Funny, I've never had anybody spin it with this parking lot issue. So, but I thought that was good. A couple of talking points just to consider, things that our district does that maybe you're not aware of. We have the locked door policy that all the
Mhm.
doors have to be locked at all times. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of other schools, that's a free thing that every school has available to them.
Mhm.
And no intruder has ever penetrated a locked door of a
Mhm.
school. So just taking that action
Mhm.
is helping to keep kids safe, right?
Mhm.
But mentioning the SRO officer, the visitor regulations, we have the means to be able to print out the name tags with the picture
Mhm.
on it. So the visitor pass has to match who's wearing it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, the parking lot. That's where we
Mhm.
ended. But I thought that was a really good run.
Thank you.
You should be feeling better about that, I think. Um, what were there was there anything specifically on the last one that threw you that, oh, Elm Grove. Let's just go over that.
Yes.
If you could take Miss Julie to visit your hometown of Elm Grove, what would you want her to see? Three places.
Three places I'd want her to see. would be the amount of walking paths we have in Elm Grove, the RJ's ice cream, and the Christmas in the Grove. That is, of course, only during Christmas, but I think it makes Elm Grove so magical. So the first thing I said was the walking paths. I think Elm Grove is very small, and that is what people see it as, a little small place to be ignored. But I think because of how many walking paths and different ways we have to get everywhere in Elm Grove, it makes it this bigger community within a small town. And that's what I think is so amazing about it. And of course, RJ's Ice Cream, it has been there for a very long time and it is very personal to Elm Grove. It is a place you step in, it feels like home. It feels exactly what it's supposed to feel like, a reprieve from like everything going on around you. And the last place I'd take you to visit would be Christmas in the Grove. I think it is a time where everything feels otherworldly and there's so many people, all 6,000 people in Elm Grove come together and make this place a very big community despite the small town feeling. And I think that's what makes Elm Grove so amazing.
Nice.
That's
Very
great. That's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. Don't you want to visit there now, Julie?
You know what? It's on the list. It haven't been there yet, but it's on the list. So I have a little feedback for my position because I haven't had a chance to get to know you, and I feel like you are very approachable, that you just have a genuineness about you, very well spoken. Maybe a lot of that has to do with tutoring and how you have to take complex ideas and translate them, either language or technology, to others. Because I know that you're smart, and but you can speak on all levels. And yeah, and I wanted to get to know you better even. So you gave me a little bit. And I loved, this is just one little thing, you went one step further and made sure that I knew that you'd been a hostess for 5 years. You put in some data, to show me that there was, I don't just do this summer, but this is something that I've done for 5 years. I thought that was great too.
Hmm.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Anything else that you wanted to go over before we cut out? Okay. And then do you want to set up a time already for next time?
Yes, sure, let's do that. When works for you?
I'm pretty flexible next week, starting this week was just a little crazy, but next week I'm much more flexible. And I think it's easier to get other adults to hop on calls if we do it like at a 7 p.m. kind of thing, 6 or 7.
Okay, then
So,
let me see because I work oftentimes in the afternoon. I can check. Um, Wednesday is pretty much the only day I'm not working at that time.
okay. And if you want to do like just individual ones with me, even if you just want to pop over, I've told Vaidehi if you guys want to just pop over and float, we just, float in the pool in the afternoon and throw some questions. We can do
Okay.
that too.
Okay.
So it's harder on a Zoom call to float, but you and I can float.
Okay.
So let's do Wednesday for sure. Do you
Okay.
want to do like 6 o'clock? Does that work?
Yes, that should be
Okay.
good.
Okay. All right. I'll put that down for sure. And I'll see you on Saturday at
Yes.
the orientation.
And
Good.
that is from 11:30 to 1, just to make sure, right?
Somehow I thought it was 11, but I could be wrong.
But it does end at 1.
I don't know. You know what? I don't think I actually got an invite to it
Uh-huh.
officially. Usually Meg includes me in all those, but um,
Okay.
I don't have anything in my actual calendar from Meg on it.
Okay.
Did she send you an invite?
I don't think she sent me an invite. She just said somewhere that like she mentioned, I can look again. State
Well, you know what?
orientation.
Let me let Vaidehi in because she might know.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else too, Bella?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I asked you a question that was not from your form, you handled that so well. That was really
Yeah.
great. I did not feel like, oh, I screwed that. You were just like, oh, I think that you might be looking at someone else's
Yeah.
form, and
Yeah.
I was just like, wow,
That's
thank
exactly
you.
how
That
you
was
should
great.
handle it. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Thank
was
you.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, because it does happen.
Mhm.
Hey, Vaidehi, we're just finishing up with Bella. But we were wondering if you knew what the timeline was on Saturday.
Um, I thought it was from 12 to 3:15 or something,
Oh,
right?
shoot.
Did I
I
make
thought
it
11.
11?
Bella thought 11:30. Um,
Too. Yeah, because I have work at 2, so I just wanted to like make sure. But if it's till 3, that might.
gotcha. Let me just text Meg and then I can let you guys know.
Okay, sounds good. Then I'll let you guys get this interview session
Okay.
going.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Hold
Okay.
on. And stop.